Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. It is episode number 98, Tuesday, July the 12th, 2022, and the event that we're going to be diving into today, the one just wrapping up at the Prix Motorplex at Road America this past weekend, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the USPKS United States Pro Kart Series Badger State Grand Prix. Another fantastic weekend for all accounts, watching all the live coverage. And, of course, everything that happened on ekartingnews.com, social media, whatever it may be. It was a pretty fun weekend at one of the coolest venues in American motorsports. That, of course, is Road America. The show today presented by OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the United States, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard and Lando Norris brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about the specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, EOS, Gallard, or LN Kart, visit www.otkusa.com. As I said off the start, we are talking about the USPKS Badger State Grand Prix, the event happening this past weekend, July the 7th to the 10th, up at Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. A very busy weekend, all told, not just the kart track itself in action, but the big track, the 4.01 or something like that mile
4.1. If you want to round up, it's 4.1.
Yeah, it's like 4.046 or something like that, right?
068, I believe.
Is that what it is? The Road America, the faithful want it said correctly. So we'll get close. David Cole, thanks for joining me again, jumping in here. You drove back from Wisconsin on Monday, back in the office to get the script together for this debrief, and it looked to me like it was a pretty great weekend all around.
048 is what I see on a sticker. I don't know if that's the correct one, but
wow, all right.
Or maybe I did see 4048 off a lot on like some apparel they had at some of the workers were wearing and stuff like that. So I think that's the official length, 4.048.
Well, hold on. See, now I'm looking at the USF Juniors website, and it says, because I know they're going there at the end of the weekend when we're at SCUSA Summer Nationals, USF Juniors is at Road America, and it says 4.014. What has happened here? All right, I'll do a little research, Dave. Start talking about how the weather was.
Well, the weather was good. Perfect Wisconsin weather to get us through the weekend up until the last couple of main events. There was a threat of rain. We saw the radar; it was pushing in, and thankfully it held off until after the podiums. And as a lot of the teams were tearing down some of the bigger tents to get out of the Road America facility, but. Other than that, temperatures were in the 80s and then bright sunshine. Saturday, where there's no clouds in the sky, where a little bit of cloudiness on Sunday, especially towards the end when that rain started pushing through.
Again, this is was essentially the fifth and sixth races of an 8-round championship program. 4 races here in 2022. David, at the end of the broadcast, of course, we'll talk about the fact that they announced an expansion of the program for 2023. But the best 7 races count. Not like it's going to matter for Ryan Norberg, but 8 rounds in the program in total. 5th and 6th rounds on the docket last weekend. The 10th season of the program, and as David said, beautiful weather, sunny and 80s throughout the weekend. That rain holding off. David, all told, paddock looked like it was pretty packed. It's odd to say that when you have 238 entries, it's on the small side for an event. That's still probably one of the largest nationals you'll see throughout the year. But we've seen some big numbers over 300 for the first 2 rounds of the season. Did it feel like that? Did it feel like, man, it's a little less than we've seen before? Or did it still feel pretty national-esque?
Well, I think, as you know, Road America being one of the largest facilities for racing to begin with, everything feels large. You feel like you have plenty of space, especially down that grid area, because it's one of the longest walks you'll ever have to do at a karting event. Even longer than, say, Super Nationals or anything like that we've been to. So yeah, when you look at the paddock, it's full. there's plenty of room for growth, especially at Road America, utilizing that camping area within the carousel there, turn 9. And, there's plenty of room for tents and haulers, but they did park all the cars on the other side of the bridge. So there were a lot more golf carts being utilized on the weekend. They utilized camping area along what would be turn 7 leading down to turn 8, that straightaway. So they used that area for a lot of the full-size RVs to camp there on the weekend. So it did feel like it was larger than last year, and especially larger than 2020. Obviously, that's the only event that we've seen below the 200 mark over the last 3 seasons. So that was 165. And again, that was still, September of 2020, COVID, only 6 months worth of COVID at that time. So again, a little deceiving based on that. And a lot of people were unsure of what Road America was in the karting world. So, but yeah, it looked larger than last year, but the numbers weren't quite the same amount, 254 last year to 238 this year. But overall it seemed like a large event, but then again, we have plenty of space to go around.
Yeah, and still at 238, when you're comparing it to past USPKS events, you're like, man, a little bit down, but still, again, like I said, one of the biggest nationals. You would have said a couple of years ago that we'd have nationals at 238. People will be thrilled. So, KA 100 senior at 55 entries, that's still max, even bigger than last year. 45 in KA 100 junior. The cadets, again, we were excited anytime we see big full cadet fields, and we got them 34 entries in both mini and micro, respectively. Still 31 in X30 Pro, 23 in the juniors, and 16 masters. So a healthy masters grid as well. Not something we've seen really anywhere here in 2022.
Yeah, we got the walk-ups. That was the best part about Master, where we got a few walk-ups, and the walk-ups were certainly, one of them was a contender all weekend long, so certainly was notable there. But again, close to that 20 mark. And again, that, if you have event, categories at 20 or more, it's a solid event, especially when you're getting up into the 55 range for K100 Senior, which was the only category this weekend that required to do everything else. Everyone was in for the main events. And that was the unique thing, too, was the new format going back to the original way things were done prior to Orlando and GoPro of this year. All qualifying was moved back to the day of the round. So round 5 qualifying was done on Saturday, and round 6 was done on Sunday rather than doing it at the end of Friday. So I think that was a big welcome. A lot of people were excited about that. Again, it was less stress on Friday, more focusing on getting dialed in on the chassis setups, and especially there with the tire pressure. That's a very crucial track with the low grip level that is there at Road America. The Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America is that's key in coming into terms, because it's not like any other racetrack we go to.
Yeah. So, David, you would say all told, people were really happy with that move. I know USPKS obviously trying something new to start the season to kind of make it easier, not as long a days on Saturday and Sunday, having the qualifying on Friday for both days on Friday afternoon. You think everybody pretty happy with the move back to the day of?
Oh yeah. That was a big welcome. Obviously, for the workers, I think it makes it harder for Saturday and Sunday, because again, we were there a little bit longer than what we could have been for having qualifying done on Fridays. So that's the only downside. So you're upsetting the 20 workers rather than the 238 drivers or entries that are competing.
All right, folks, quick break in the action. Our first of the show. We'll get back with the paddock pass after this. Don't go anywhere. More to come on this edition of the Debrief. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, SCUSA Super Nationals 25, and other events throughout the 2022 season. TKG has in stock Kart Republic, IAME, MG and Avinco tires, and more products for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history of the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite Karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for 2022 include the Ignite Majors, featuring events at the Daytona International Speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Quincy Grand Prix, Newcastle Motorsports Park, and the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the 5-round regionally based Ignite Challenge at tracks in Illinois, Ohio, and Missouri. Local club programs have also been established in other states like Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Florida, and more. Join Margay Racing for some fast, fun, and great memories at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite Kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to episode number 98 of the EKN Debrief, our race report podcast, always available here on the EKN radio network or on all the podcast platforms that are available. We'll jump now into the paddock pass, not quite diving into the race report yet, but this is some of the stuff that happens away from the track itself. This edition of the paddock pass presented by MG Tires. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. MG Tires are the official spec tire in the USPKS, the Route 66 Sprint Series, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. Whether it's the medium SH Red, the soft SM Yellow, the super soft green SS, or the intermediate white IZ, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. Remember, MG Tires for the drivers. All right, DC, let's talk paddock pass. Again, like I kind of teased at the very start, the USPKS dropping some news, little tidbit to start the weekend off, that they're going to be expanding to 5 events next year, having settled into kind of a 4-event program. 5 events next year, starting early too, starting in January.
Yeah, that was the big news on Friday. That was kind of shocking to hear about. It's 10th season of the program, and it's kind of always been the less is more type mentality. And I don't think that is the plan going into the second decade for the series. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting to hear that. There was talk that there's multiple teams that are looking, they want more races. They want to be at more events with USPKS. They really enjoy, what they offer, and they would gladly go to another event for them. So I didn't hear a lot of negativity in the paddock. For me, and obviously us as the karting media outlet, we're looking at karting as a whole. And we know that the first 6 months of this year were extremely hectic and busy with a lot of events. And now that they're saying they're going to be in January, what does that mean for karting in 2023? And what does that mean for Florida Winter Tour? What does it mean for SCUSA Winter Series? What does it mean for any other programs that are looking to get going in the early months of the year? So that's really the kind of the talking point. again, I'm shocked that they're doing this. I thought they were going to be keeping that less is more mentality. But again, like I said, the teams are on board with it, and they've kind of made their peace with it and kind of promote it, not necessarily promote it, but are on board with it. And I wonder now if it's with 5 events, I find it hard to believe that we can do a 10-round championship. I just think that's way too many races, and it makes the weekends even. Again, this Road America weekend was super long, because again, they don't want the qualifying on Friday. So that means you only have 2 days of on actual racing, including qualifying.
Yep.
And so I really hope they look at doing that one final weekend format for this program. The numbers support it, especially, if you're getting 55 KAs, your smallest categories is at 20. All those categories can do heat races to where it actually means something, and you're not, running 3 heat races with 5 drivers. That's when it's not needed. Yep. But the numbers support it to be able to do it, and people gotta realize that it makes it more prestigious to be that one winner on the weekend.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. So that's something big. Obviously, not a lot of information coming out. Schedule wasn't laid out, but they did say they're going to begin in January. So we look forward to seeing the schedule actually come out to see where USPKS will be going for a 5-race program.
They were looking at trying to get some dates announced on the weekend, but nothing is yet locked in 100%. So they weren't ready to do that. I would expect within the next 2 weeks, if not this week, maybe next week for sure, that we see a couple dates and locations announced for the 2023 season. So make sure to keep an eye on EKN, because we'll hopefully have that exclusive with USPKS.
What else you got, David? What else happened? I'm just reading through some of your notes here. I'll let you bring this one out. Police on site throughout the weekend, you're saying?
Yeah, that was one of the emphasis, for United States Pro Kart Series to kind of almost bring order to the paddock. We've talked a bunch of times about the stuff that happened at the Spring Nationals. We've also saw the announcement that the United States Pro Kart Series was going to really crack down on the use of alcoholic beverages throughout the paddock before racing is completed. And that was one of the major things. Also, with the way the Road America paddock is laid out, there's a lot of bikes, a lot of scooters, a lot of golf carts. There's a lot of traffic going here and there, and so they had police monitoring that as well too, making sure people who kids aren't running around driving golf carts. You had to be a licensed driver, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But I think more so just to keep order, keep people in check, and again that emphasize the use of the non-use of alcoholic beverages before racing is completed. So it was a focal point for USPKS to make sure that that everybody was there to be in order, to have a good time, and to make sure that rules were followed throughout the weekend.
Yeah, hate to see that we've had to go to that level to actually have police on site, but I guess it's a good call.
Well, a couple bad apples, ruin things for everybody else, in a way. But looking from the outside, I mean, it's true. It was kind of being over abused. A lot of people, and I'm not signaling out anybody. Yeah. But a majority, not a majority, but there were a lot of people that significant amount of people using alcoholic beverages before the checkered flags being waved, whether it be mechanics, whether it be parents, whether it be, just even, people spectating. Yeah. Again, it's something that was kind of getting out of hand. And again, it got to that point to where it needs to be policed. And unfortunately, it actually required police force being on site. Again, that's something we talked about during the Spring Nationals debrief. Newcastle Motorsports Park is the only racetrack we go to that actually has a armed officer on site for all their major events. And I think, going down the road, this could be a helpful thing to kind of keep order. Keep people on on the up and up with
their best behavior.
On the best behavior, And, I don't know. There always is a good atmosphere with USPKS. So I don't think this really changed anything, but again, it had, you had the watchful eyes of the law enforcement being there all weekend long.
So halfway through this Paddock Pass, brought to you by MG Tires, David. One thing you've mentioned in previous Outlap podcasts is USPKS kind of looking for that maybe next race director. They had, for a while there, they had a really good group, but a bit of a transition year for USPKS in terms of who's heading up the team, the officiating team. What do we have here? Third different head race director in 3 events.
Yeah, Ludwig Jason was there kind of overseeing things in Orlando, but it was his final race event. And he was still kind of, making sure things were done the proper way and teaching, some of the newer staff, the ways that things have been done and how to look out for things. Justin Dietrich was the man, the guy at GoPro. And then this weekend it was Blake Hunt who took over the head race director duties for the weekend. And so, yeah, there's different faces that are, Bobby Radovoy still on site. Porter is also the head flagman. So those positions were still there, but there were some new faces that were there as well too. Some former racers. So I think if there's one area for the site or for the series to be working on, it's that section. Back in the day, I touted how this was probably one of the best official group that you have in the country. And with those people have gone, now Jason's gone. They're trying to find their chemistry. They're trying to find the right people that work well with each other and be able to provide, the backbone for the on track stuff that happens throughout the weekend. So again, just a work in progress, trying to find the right people, the right way of doing things and the right, obviously Road America is a big facility. You need a lot of eyes on that racetrack to be able to cover the whole thing. Newcastle is going to be no different. Again, a large facility as well too. GoPro's a little bit easier. Orlando's a little bit easier. So, Road America certainly put them to the test. And so will Newcastle, obviously, with championships on the line. So we'll see, what the series does, moving forward. We'll see if Blake remains in that position. Justin was not there. He was asked to not come back. So there obviously was some situations between him and the series to where he was not welcomed back to be part of the staff. So again, trying to find that right, Scuse has been doing that as well too. You had Bybee go to Janowski and then Janowski going now to Bo Barfield. So again, it's the thankless job that is the toughest to fill.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's a revolving door sometimes if you can't get the person who's got the good and got the right people around them, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's always key. Porter's doing every time he's at the head flagman, he's doing a great job. He's a young person, so it's he had to get that experience under his belt. Bobby was guiding him along the way as well too. So Bobby's done a great job with that. And then, Bobby's now more on the race director side of, assistant race director side of things, keeping an eye on the racetrack himself. And so, yeah, I think they just, again, if you can get that 4-person combination that they know each other, they know what they're watched for. Again, it's a really hard thing to do. We see Challenge in Americas. They have, Taylor Jocelyn, Mark Michione, Tyler Brooks, those 3 together, they work well together.
You do.
Yeah. You always you just have to find that chemistry that works well.
Let's talk about drivers making class debuts. Some of the drivers finding new homes on the weekend, new chassis, bunch of drivers moving around a little bit.
I actually wanted to start with some of the walk-ups. That was Austin Garrison. That was a notable walk-up. He decided Friday morning to put a cart together and go out and compete, which was unique. And then Blake Wankowski was a new entry to the Masters class along with Chris Wareheim. They were both racing under the Mill Rock banner with Burrell Art, or actually one had the Charles Leclerc, one had the Burrell Art. Kart, but still under the same Red Army. that was kind of cool to see, some new drivers into the X30 Masters category.
Yeah, okay.
Weldon was among those moving over up to the KA100. To Oliver Weldon, it was moving up from Mini Swift to KA100 Junior. So he made his junior debut this weekend. Some drivers moving around. Diego Ramos moved to PSL Karting and Burrell Art. So he was in the X30 Pro category with the Red Army. Jackson Porter was another notable that joined Paralyn USA for the weekend. And then Isaac Malkut jumping over to Nitro Kart. And after a couple of races with them earlier last month, and making his USPKS debut with Nitro Kart.
Yeah, so there's some drivers making some little, I guess, mid-season, silly season. It was good to see a bunch of guys coming into the Masters category. I think that's really cool. Obviously, you get a Chris Wareheim, who over the last couple of decades has been a front-running guy in the tag category when he was racing. So awesome to see him make the transition. Hopefully we'll see Chris in more events. Speaking of that, we're going to dive into the race report, folks. After this particular break, we'll come back and dive right into X30 Pro and KA100 Senior. Stay tuned. More to come on this edition of the Debrief. It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Paralyn decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Paralyn was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Paralyn's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Paralyn USA is North America's source for Paralyn products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Paralyn chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Paralyn has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Paralyn. For more information, head to ParalyNUSA.com. The Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is where out-of-the-box ease and outstanding consistency meet to create legendary races. Briggs & Stratton's history in motorsports dates back to when the first engines came off the assembly line in the early 1900s. Their focus on the grassroots level continues to help build generations of racers. Since 2008, the Briggs & Stratton 206 has gained a following that has the engine powering the largest fields in North American karting today. From the club level of track programs to traveling regional series and national events, Briggs & Stratton competition provides the most exciting racing in the sport. Engineered and hand-built exclusively for racing, every Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is power tested and serialized before it goes in the box. Karters can take that engine straight from the box to their kart and be on the podium at the end of race day. Be sure to follow Briggs & Stratton Racing on Facebook and through @RaceBriggs on Instagram. To learn more about the 206 engine or to find the North American dealer near you, head to BriggsRacing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you? Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network as we dive into the race report of the USPKS event, the Badger State Grand Prix, up at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America. This is episode number 98 of the Debrief. We'll go into the race report right now. David Cole, of course, was trackside, so he'll be able to bring us all the information. Race report presented by DID Chain. Powered by technology, DID racing chains have a worldwide reputation for superior quality and reliability. A rich racing tradition where race results speak for themselves, DID prides itself on engineering the most technologically advanced chains on the market to help you excel on and off the track. DID's SDH pin treatment creates an extremely hard chromium carbide layer on the pin surface that houses a soft inner core to absorb extreme shock loads. DID's 219 HTZ racing chain boasts this SDH pin technology, which leads to a longer chain life as well as excellent energy transmission to the wheels. Available in the gorgeous gold, the 219 HTZ is the ultimate racing kart chain. Pick up a DID chain at your local dealer today, because when winning is the only thing that matters, go with DID. All right, David, X30 Pro, as we do always with our shows, I'll roll up the headline. You can fill in the information. This one, it just keeps happening, folks. The headline for X30 Pro, Norberg extends streak to 6.
Yeah, let's make it short and simple. Norberg wins both. We're done.
Every session. Move on.
I gotta save my breath, right? It was it wasn't that easy. No, it was not as easy as I just said. Norberg wins both. He was challenged Friday. Paul Bocuse, his RPG teammate, was able to slide in and get the fast time on Friday. But Norberg came back when it mattered most in qualifying to set fast time in qualifying and win the pre-final. It was a challenge in the pre-final with Diego Canteca on the Kart Republic, leading for a majority of the race till Norberg went back up to the front and scored the race win. The main event, though, however, was all Norberg as he went wire to wire for the victory, his 5th straight victory on the season, by half a second over Diego Canteca. It was Martin Kremers in P3. Unfortunately, a disqualification due to squish, your favorite technical DQ.
Doesn't matter how much.
It doesn't matter how much, exactly. Rick said the same thing. He was removed in tech for squish, and that pumped up Diego Ramos making his Burrell Art debut to land on the podium in 3rd. Hayden Jones, a solid 4th place finish, with Austin Garrison advancing up into the 5th spot.
The late entry Garrison ends up P5. Good run for him. That's solid. Jack Jeffers on the CRG, the hard charger, started 13th up into the 6th position. So a good run for Jack Jeffers there. David, looks like things for Norberg, and I watched some of it on Sunday a little bit. Looks like he just got right back into it and kept rolling.
Yeah, but it was a little bit more of a challenge again on Sunday, especially early on in the main event. Norberg went on to set fast time in qualifying and win the pre-final. But the early laps in the main event, it was Martin Kremers that was right there trying to keep Norberg at bay. Got in front for a couple of laps, but Norberg continued to fight back, and as he did, got quicker and quicker once he got out in the front and into the lead. Again, it was kind of a battle of who can put down the quicker laps and who can be more consistent. Norberg was just able to do that a little bit more than Kremers. And looking at them at the scale line, Kremers just like, man, I just need a little bit more and I can get there. And so, I think it's been a good, solid 6 months of work for Kremers on the single speed stuff that, he's been trying to help get PSL karting on board with. And unfortunately, he came up about 0.8 short in the main event as Norberg was able to score his 6th straight victory on the year.
Yeah, good cross section of the chassis as well, David, as we've seen, right? We've got Norberg on the Cosmic, Kremers on the Burrell Art, Garrison was running the CRG, so and of course Canteca as well up on the Kart Republic. So a number of different chassis in the top 5 and on the podium in X30 Pro.
Yeah, Garrison just couldn't get the qualifying setup down right. Was struggling there, so he had to fight his way forward both days. And Sunday was a little bit better. Getting up into that 3rd spot. Hayden Jones was right there in the early fight with Kremers and Norberg, and just couldn't be able to keep that pace up and fell down to 4th with Diego Ramos earning another top 5 finish for him in his debut with PSL karting.
Yeah, hard charger on Sunday's X30 Pro race. Santiago Fernandez on the Cosmic up 13 spots. Started 30th and battled his way up to 17th. So all told, hard charger award there for Fernandez. Let's move now to the KA100 senior category. And here's your headline. Lemke and Liberante run away with victories.
Exactly that. It's just one of those things where the leader was able to get away because everybody behind them didn't want to play nice. Unfortunately, fortunately for Lemke and Liberante, they were able to score victories that way. Saturday, we know Lemke, not a lot of experience at Road America, but is a home state racetrack for him, was able to score fast time in qualifying and win the pre-final. in his, and then Jeremy Fletcher was the other driver to win the pre-final even. Those were the top two drivers going into the main event. A little bit of battle early on between both of them, along with many others. And eventually Lemke was able to kind of get away from all the chaoticness that was going on behind him for second spot. And then Lemke put in some consistent lap times to be able to get away to a 4-second advantage by the time the checkered flag came out to score his second victory of the season ahead of Jeremy Fletcher, who won that crazy battle for second.
I want to just make note of chaoticness. That's a good word.
I don't even know if it's a word. I just made it up. If it isn't,
could just say, you probably could just say chaos. I love it. That's hilarious.
I like chaoticness.
It's good. Yeah, it's almost like strategery.
It's strategery. It just puts more of an emphasis on the chaos that was going on. Because again, we've talked about this in the past where, you know what, if you got a good kart, you push a guy away from the rest of the field and you go on to win. Yeah. Why can't these guys who are 15 and older do that?
I don't get it. 100%. I 100% don't get the aggressive battling for second all the time when the guy's pulling away up front. But hey, for Brandon Lemke's happy, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about a driver who actually did that later on in the younger categories.
All right, I love that. All right, so on the Merlin, Lemke scores it for Merlin Nation, 4.237 seconds up front. Fletcher ends up in second spot. Chase Hand coming home in third. Gavin Bailiff in fourth. It was actually Alex Stanfield, David, that was P5, but a penalty for contact, dropping him out of that top five group.
Yeah, Stanfield was one of those drivers up front all weekend long. Unfortunately, a penalty for contact dropped him out of the fifth spot.
Hard charger, rather. Race Liberante moves to P5 with that penalty to Alex Stanfield. Hard charger Tyler Wettengale on the red speed, winning the last chance qualifier, starts 41st and goes 28 spots up to 13th. That's a fun day. I know he would like to have been running for the win, but that's a fun day coming to the field like that, I would think.
Yeah, and it set up for a great performance for him on Sunday because he was able to keep things together on the pre-final. I think the Saturday pre-final was a lost chain. That's the reason why he was in the LCQ.
Yeah. All right, so let's roll into Sunday. Stanfield coming back from that penalty qualifies P1.
Yeah, he was a quick driver all weekend long, and it was him, Fletcher, and Lemke that were battling it out for the victory in the odd pre-final, with Fletcher able to score that victory while Race Liberante drove away to the race win in the even pre-final. So that put Fletcher and Liberante on the front row. And again, very similar to what we saw on Saturday, it was a lot of chaos that ensued up front, and eventually Liberante was able to break away from all that madness and pull out to a sizable lead by the time Jeremy Fletcher was up into the second position. So very similar to what we saw on Saturday, except this time it was Liberante taking the gift from all the other competitors with the lead. And then again, eventually drove away to a 4.9 second victory over Fletcher.
Yeah, Diego Conteka coming home in second, Tyler Wettengale third, Jeremy Fletcher fourth. I'll just throw it out there. I'll just throw the top five, and then you can fill in all the gaps. Fletcher fourth and Aiden Levy in fifth. Go.
That's the final order. What exactly happened was Fletcher came across in the second position. Unfortunately, a penalty for contact dropped him down the order. And as you said, eventually finished fourth.
Yeah.
Coming across the line in third was Brandon Lemke, but a penalty for swerving knocked him out of the top five. And he almost, if the race went one more lap, he would have been black flagged for a loose rear bumper. So that was a little bit of chaos for him.
Okay.
He was actually battling with Adam Maxwell there on the final laps. Maxwell nearly got the third position from Lemke, thought he had the third position because Lemke had the penalty. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it through tech and was removed after tech. So he lost his position. So that, again, shuffled up the top five with the order that you said: Liberante, Conteka, Wettengale in the third position. Fletcher ended up finishing in fourth. And then, as you said, Aiden Levy on the Alonso kart in the fifth position.
That was a big mixed bag. There's a lot of action there.
A lot of chaos.
A lot of chaoticness going on there. The hard charger was Xander Rogers on the Tony kart, up 19 spots. He won the LCQ just as Wettengale did on the Saturday race. Started 41st and drove up to 22nd for Xander Rogers. So There you go. We're underway with the race report. Again, brought to you by DIG Chain. After this break, we'll come back with X30 Junior, KA100 Junior, and X30 Masters. Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer to winning in karting. At the helm is industry veteran Greg Bell, who has orchestrated the success of many drivers dating back to the mid-1990s. Based in Lodi, California, Leading Edge Motorsports is the Western importer with IP karting that includes the Praga and Formula K chassis brands. Leading Edge Motorsports provides in-depth driver development for those racers in Northern California and across the country. Arrive and drive services, kart preparation, and driver coaching are available under the LEM tent throughout the season. Bell's record of working with drivers includes recent victories at North America's biggest karting events, including the Rock the Rio and the SCUSA Super Nationals. Greg Bell's knowledge for building engines spans 2 decades and is now under the Mega Power branding, providing a reliable engine service and tuning knowledge. No matter the chassis brand, choose Mega Power to get to the front. Click over to leadingedgemotorsports.com for more and find them on social media to stay connected. At Leading Edge Motorsports, winning never gets old. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. Welcome back to episode number 98 of the EKN Debrief. We essentially wrap up the USPKS event up at Road America, the Badger State Grand Prix. This edition of the Race Report brought to you by DID Chain. X30 Junior, here's the headline. Brinkman grabs first as Gaffera adds third.
A fire was lit under Cameron Brinkman this weekend. For some reason, he was just in it all weekend long and was among the top drivers in both junior categories, actually making his KA Junior debut on the season. So was one of those double duty drivers. Came out with the fast time in qualifying, but it was Caleb Gaffera that was able to score the victory in the pre-final. Contact in the early laps of the main event actually spun Gaffera around in the bottom part of the racetrack. That sent him to the tail of the field and shuffled up the order and allowed Brinkman to get back up to the point. Max Garcia eventually worked his way up towards the front and was able to take over the lead. And then we had a little bit of a last lap battle between Brinkman and Garcia. Brinkman dove to the inside of Garcia on the final corner. Garcia didn't run the defensive line that we thought, because again, it's one of those tricky sections where if you do run defensive, you don't get quite the run out of the corner to make it to the checkered flag. And so Brinkman went for it, took the inside, grabbed it, and was able to drive to the checkered flag first by 97 thousandths of a second over Garcia, who was second. Unfortunately, a 3-position penalty for contact dropped him off the podium and down into the 5th spot.
What else we got then? The shaking up around, dropping Garcia down, as you said. Looks like Teddy Masella for RPG was P3 on the racetrack with a pushback bumper, knocking him down to P4.
Correct. That, could have put him on the podium, except for the pushback bumper dropped him down to 4th officially. The penalty to Garcia and Muselli moved Ernesto Riviera up into the 2nd spot on the podium and moved fellow RPG teammate Max Taylor to 3rd. And as we said, Musella down to 4th, and then Garcia ending up in 5th with 3-position penalty. Yeah,
Taylor getting the advantage of a couple of penalties there, moving him forward. He was actually the hard charger as well, started 12th up into 3rd for Max Taylor. Brinkman, as you said, though, David, obviously a big weekend for him. He comes out of the gate Sunday as well, benefiting from the confidence and momentum from winning on Saturday, ends up qualifying pole on Sunday as well.
He did. Ended up setting fast time, but it was Max Garcia winning the pre-final in a warm pre-final race that was pretty hotly contested during that race. The main event made it to 7 laps before it was red flagged due to an incident further back in the field. Thankfully, all the drivers were able to walk away from the incident. When the race was restarted, it was Aiden Ingrata who made the switch back over to the red speed after Thursday. It might have been after Thursday, or it might have been even after Friday practice. Made the move back from the CRG to the red speed chassis. Oh, wow. He was leading early on in the race after it was restarted, but eventually Caleb Gaffera was able to fight back up into the front after starting 8th from a pushback bumper penalty in the pre-final. Drove his way up to the lead, and eventually from there led the remainder of the race to be able to score his 3rd victory of the season.
Yeah, not much. Ingrata was right there. Didn't make the move. I actually watched that one, a couple of the races there, because I'd flown back on Saturday evening from Mid-Ohio, so I got a chance to watch some of the races on the weekend. Ingrata was right there, as you said, just under 0.2 of a second back at the line. Brinkman ends up capping off a solid weekend, David, as you said. 2 podiums, 1 win. Ends up 3rd ahead of Taylor and Garcia to wrap up the top 5. Rivera, who was 2nd in race number 1, ends up with another top 10. Hard Charger as well, started 22nd, drives his way up to 10th.
Yeah, and if I recall, Brinkman was the money winner on the weekend with that victory and 3rd place. I think Taylor was another. I forgot to get the money winners on the weekend. I think Taylor was another money winner as well too, and possibly Garcia. So again, I'll have to double check on that and kind of update the report on that.
KA 100 Junior now. Here's your headline. Gaffera sweeps main events.
It was a wild one in KA 100 Junior. Really, nobody really dominated. It looked like it was going to be Landon Skinner having kind of a breakout performance on Saturday as he set fast time in qualifying, was able to win the pre-final. But when the main event began, he was shuffled back and eventually finished just outside the top 10. So not a great ending, but a great little bit of a breakout performance for the Texan Landon Skinner. Nice. Eventually, it was Caleb Gaffera and Cameron Brinkman that were able to get away in the main event. Eventually became a 4-kart group at the end with Cooper Shipman and Elio Meza that were working together to close up on the top 2. No real exchanges for position in the closing laps as Caleb Gaffera was able to score his first victory in the category on the season by 0.7 over Cameron Brinkman.
Indeed, Oscar Iliff with the Hard Charger run from 29 spots, 43rd start up into 14th for Oscar Iliff. So a big move forward for Oscar. Let's move to Sunday right now, and that victory for Caleb Gaffera. Again, we talked about the momentum coming into the next day. He qualifies on the pole, fast driver in qualifying, ends up winning the pre-final as well, David.
Yeah, the sheets say he had a sweep, but it certainly wasn't an easy one, especially in the main event where he was challenged for the most heavily on the day. It was basically 4 drivers up front. You had both Iron Rock Motorsport drivers with Shipman and Meza up there, along with Parker DeLong, who found a little bit of speed overnight, and it was him. Those 4 battling it out for the top spot for majority of the race. Eventually, we saw Meza and Shipman get up to the front, and we thought those 2 were going to be able to work together and kind of get away. Unfortunately for them, Caleb Gaffera was able to split them up and was able to kind of mix it up again, and eventually got himself back up into the lead, and then held on through the final couple of laps to be able to score his 2nd victory of the weekend.
Based on what you got here, it's Gaffera with the win by just under 0.2 of a second. Parker DeLong 2nd, Ernesto Rivera 3rd, Elio Meza 4th, and Max Garcia in 5th. What happened to Cooper Shipman here? The notes say that he dropped down to 12th.
Yeah, but again, battling on the last lap, that group of 4 turned into about 7 or 8 in the closing laps, and a little bit of contact. Wow. I think Shipman actually was off track. Somehow he was, I think he came across the line in the 8th spot, but either a penalty or pushback bumper issue dropped him down to 12th overall.
A hard charger in the KA 100 junior category. Quentin McPherson on the Prix up 22 spots, started way back in 39th, and steered his way up to 17th. So a good drive there for Quentin to be the hard charger in the category. And we go to the young. Oh, go, Dave.
Quick little note. Garcia came in leading the championship, both categories. He finished 5th, all 4 main events.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's again, one of the more consistent drivers that we continue to see across the country.
Yeah. It's going to tighten things up in the championship as well when you're not scoring big points in rounds 5 and 6. It'll be interesting once they get to Newcastle for the finale. Speaking of kind of heating things up a little bit, X30 Masters, here's your headline. Barrios and Wareheim secure first wins on the season.
Yeah, again, even though it wasn't the largest category of the weekend, it was probably one of the more competitive divisions that we had throughout the event. Saturday, it didn't appear that way because, again, as you look at it on paper, Barrios was able to score a sweep and earn near maximum points. I don't believe he had fast time on the weekend, but was able to score fast time in qualifying, win the pre-final, and then just set sail in the main event and was able to maintain an advantage throughout I want to say, was it 22 laps that they ran for the main event to be able to lead all of them and score his first victory on the season. Certainly racing behind him helped get a little bit of a gap. There was some contact in the pre-final. Wareheim was one of the quickest drivers all weekend long, especially on Saturday as well, but contact dropped him back in the pre-final. He was able to fight his way back up into the second position ahead of 3-time winner Danilo Romalo.
Scott Roberts finishing in 4th spot, Scott Kopp in 5th. As David had said, Wareheim going up from 7th to 2nd. That actually was the hard charger, 5 spots in total. Wareheim, and then taking that momentum, David, of getting a good feel for it. You talked about the fact that he had good speed throughout the weekend. He was the outright fastest driver in qualifying on Sunday to start that pre-final from the front row.
So, yeah, Wareheim was quickest again, one of the quicker ones again on Sunday until contact in the pre-final between him and Romalo allowed Barrios to come through and score the lead and take the win in that race. And then Barrios got out to a pretty sizable lead in the main event until Wareheim got back up into the second spot and was able to run him down. And then a couple laps after Wareheim was able to take the lead from Barrios spun in the turn 1-2 combination there, falling to the tail of the field and eventually ended up in the 10th position, which is okay. But, again, in the long terms of things, cost him a lot of points in the championship battle. That it looks like it's going to be tight again, as it was last year. So with Wareheim out front, it was Martin Stone that moved up into the second spot, a fresh winner from the Texas Sprint Racing Series in the K100 Master Division. He was on Wareheim's bumper the entire rest of the main event, unable to make a move, with Wareheim going on to score his first victory at the USPKS program.
Danny Robertson coming in third behind Wareheim and Stone, but the driver who actually was third for a while there was Romalho. David, based on your notes, you're saying that something happened to him, a mechanical?
Yeah, the little clip that holds the swivel for the throttle actually came out, and the swivel was not connected to the carburetor at all. So Romalo tried doing it by hand, the throttle, for a few laps before eventually retiring from the race. So he recorded 14th place points, which again will be a very crucial championship battle, which I think I recall him having issues at GoPro in one of the other races as well too. So he's got 2 non-podium results, and as we know, podium results are very key in earning this 8-round best of 7 round championship program.
You got to have the consistency, right? No doubt about that. So Wareheim with the win, 0.7 of a second over Martin Stone. Danny Robertson finishes third to cap the podium. Scott Roberts and Nicky Coelho ends up being 4th and 5th. Coelho was a hard charger, started at the tail of the field in 16th. David was able to get himself up to P5.
Yeah, he was 4th at one time. The fresh tires from getting wrecked out of the opening lap of the pre-final certainly helped him early on. I don't know if it was just tiredness or Roberts was just a little bit quicker at the end of the race, but Roberts got by him towards the end and moving Coelho down to the 5th spot.
All right, another break in the action. When we get back, we'll wrap up the race report presented by DID Chain with a look at Mini Swift and Micro Swift. The new face of competitive karting in the Pacific Northwest region is RaceLab. The full-service karting operation is located at the state-of-the-art Kartplex facility in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada, providing everything you need to hit the track or put yourself in a successful driver development program. RaceLab is the official North American distributor for the TB Kart chassis brand, providing the full range of models from Kid Kart to Shifter Kart. Villeneuve Racing Karts is their flagship product, available only through RaceLab. The brand carries the name of Formula One champion and Indianapolis 500 winner Jacques Villeneuve, with each model produced by TB Kart. Kartplex, the home of RaceLab, is situated on the grounds of the Area 27 Motorsports Park. From full arrive and drive TB Kart rentals to leagues and competition karting, the facility provides a new home to developing the future stars of motorsports, all beginning at Kartplex with RaceLab. Follow RaceLab on social media on Facebook and Instagram, or load up their website at www.theracelab.ca to learn more about TB Kart and Villeneuve Racing Karts. RaceLab. Race with us, win with us. You can buy all the latest and greatest products on the market, but when you're karting to win, it boils down to one thing: you, the driver. Gain the knowledge and abilities by investing in yourself at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, and you'll find those extra tenths of a second you need to put yourself on the podium. The school was established by SuperKarts USA Hall of Fame driver Alan Rudolph, with decades of victories and championships in multiple forms of the sport, including other disciplines of racing. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the Speed Sports Racing Park in the metropolitan Houston area, is designed to teach driving skills at all levels. The instructors at the Academy have decades of racing experience and educating drivers of all ages. Classes at the Academy will teach the concepts and skills needed both behind the wheel and off the track. From the beginning kart racing experience and intro to karting courses, to their advanced one-day and two-day courses and karting clinics, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can improve the skills of any driver. For more information on the specific programs that the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can provide for you, head to speedsports.com and click on the Racing Academy page. Be sure to follow the Academy on social media by searching for Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 98 of our Debrief podcast, the race report. That's part of our EKN Trackside event. David Cole, of course, was at Road America, the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex, for the Badger State Grand Prix. Essentially the third event on the season for the USPKS. Let's jump into the Mini Swift category. And here's the headline.
Hold on.
What?
Can you do it in your best NASCAR voice?
No, okay, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do MRN.
Okay, that was my homage in the headline rating.
Do the Dave Moody, the Godfather?
I think so. Yeah.
Harvick at line ×2. There you go.
Oh, it's supposed to say Harvick at the line. Sorry.
Harvick at the line ×2.
There you go. Yeah. You don't have that NASCAR in you, do you?
Well,
I thought being the old stock car guy,
let me tell you this right now. So obviously Dave Moody is one of the big guys one of the big radio guys. Dave, and like when my dad was running super late models, that's what Dave was the announcer of the Coors Tour. Tom Curley was his name. Ran the Coors Tour. Oh yeah, we went to some great tracks up there, man. Beach Ridge, Thunder Valley. We went to some great racetracks. Part of that program. It was good. So there you go. Harvick at the line ×2.
Yeah. It was, the Mini Swift category was a phenomenal one this weekend. The racing that they put on was awesome to watch, clean. Nobody had any bumper issues. And again, the way the Saturday one went down to the wire was just phenomenal. It all began with Carson Weinberg, correct? Yes, Carson Weinberg.
We're always going to make that mistake. It's going to happen forever.
Carson Weinberg scoring fast time in qualifying, and then his Speed Concepts Racing CRG teammate Trevor Brown making his USPKS debut, earning the win in the pre-final. So a good outing for him to begin his debut. The race, however, was anybody's up for grabs. A lot of changes, a lot of racing for position. The story, obviously, Harvick coming up from the 10th position, and then Tyler Roberts coming from 8th. Those two drivers were on the charge throughout the main event, picking off drivers one by one, making their way up into the front of the field. As we got to the final, basically the final lap of the race, we had about 9 different drivers in that lead pack, just looking and trying to find a way to score the victory. And as they came through the final corner, it just looked like it was like 3 by 3 by 3. Just all 9 drivers right there going for any real estate they could possibly get to be able to gain position on one another. And Roberts made the move on the inside of Harvick, coming up to the last corner. He pushed out wide. Harvick made the over-under on him, was in the middle of the racetrack, while at the same time, Salvador Della Vecchia drove a super over-under to go under both of them. And from the back of it, it looked like Salvador had the great path to the victory. Unfortunately for him, he came across the line third as it was Keelan scoring the victory by 78 thousandths of a second over Lucas Palacio, who was another driver to kind of move his way up through on the outside, if I believe correctly. But again, it was just a number of different karts going all over the place, trying to find their way, get to the line first. Roberts ended up falling all the way back to 5th as he got bogged down on that exit out of the last corner and allowed those 3 other drivers to get by him, including Weinberg, who ended up finishing in 4th.
Yeah, what a wild one for sure. Tyrone Kemper Jr., not in that big battle up front, but he was able to work his way up 13th spot, starting 30th up into 17th. So Harvick gets the victory on the parallel and David on Saturday, but Cade Yeager coming out of the gate as the fastest driver in qualifying on Sunday.
Yeah, he was one of those drivers that were in that group of 9 that came across the line, I think, all within 1 second. Wow. And was actually a disqualification for something that happened on track. Not quite sure. Might have been possibly unsportsmanlike conduct. But Cade bounced back, came back, and scored fast time in qualifying. But it was Harvick that came through and scored the win in the pre-final. This time, however, Roberts got his way back up into the front after a red flag that slowed things down on lap 7. Driver was checked out and was okay. But when it got restarted, there was CRGs up front with Weinberg and Brown. But Harvick eventually found his way towards the front. Roberts, coming from 8th, got himself into 2nd. And like we've talked about many, many times before, you just push the driver away to get away from the rest of the field. And that's exactly what Harvick and Roberts were able to do. So they decided the victory amongst themselves this time, rather than having that group of 9 all battling with them this time. It was the same move. Roberts went for it. Final corner, Harvick left the opening. Roberts went for it. He got a little bit of a better run this time. Unfortunately, Harvick just got a better run from holding that outside as they made their way through the corner, and Harvick was able to get to the checkered flag first for a 2nd victory on the weekend and his 4th straight on the series.
Wow, Harvick with the win, Roberts 2nd, Della Vecchia 3rd, Weinberg 4th, and Turner Brown, the hard charger, started back in 33rd, David, and worked his way up to P5.
Yeah, amazing run by him. I'm not quite sure what happened in the pre-final that put him back there. Again, just one of those things where they certainly had the speed, both CRGs in the top 5 both days. It just didn't end the way they wanted to, but a great hard charger performance by him in his USPKS debut.
Yeah, in his debut weekend. Let's move to Micro Swift right now, and this is the headline: Woon takes 3rd as Vegas scores career first.
Again, micro division, very similar to what we saw in the mini, with great racing all weekend long. Saturday was a 2-driver battle in the main event. After Rocco Simone set fast time in qualifying, it was Jackson Gibson earning the pre-final win. Simone lost the lead duo as Jackson Gibson and Ashton Woon were able to kind of draft and get away from the other challengers for the victory. So those two ended up deciding the victory on their own. Gibson just unable to really challenge in the last few laps, as Ashton Woon was just a little bit better in the closing circuits and the final few corners to be able to go on to score his third straight victory in the Micro Swift division.
Hard charger and micro that day was Bowen Green in the comp cart, 31st up to 13th, an 18th position improvement. And as you said in the headline, we know that Ashton Woon got his third straight win, but Royce Vega, David, coming out of the gate on Sunday, qualified on pole.
Yeah, quick top five from Saturday. Simone in the third spot, Troy Ferguson in fourth, and Royce Vega in fifth. So Vega certainly had the speed to be able to challenge for the victory and came out with fast time in qualifying on Sunday. Simone came through with the pre-final win. It was a pretty good little contest that they had there to decide the lineup for the main event, which essentially saw four drivers out front, setting the pace for a majority of the main event until late in the race. A few others, probably about two or three other drivers, were able to join in on the last lap festivities, which almost was very similar to Saturday's mini Swift main event final, with the last laps being a little bit of a hectic one with drivers all jockeying for position. Again, decided in the last few corners between Woon and Simone, going back and forth, side by side. As they pushed wide on the final corner, Royce Vega had the over-under on both of them. Great momentum out of that final corner, down the little bit of the straightaway to the checker flag. Was able to get there for his first victory by 30 thousandths of a second.
Wow, that's big. That's big. Royce Vega with the win. Ashton Woon in second. Benja Fernandez third. Caleb Tartar fourth. And Nicholas Orbezo. Is it Caleb Tartar was fourth spot, Dave?
Yeah, Simone was among those finishing in the top four. Unfortunately, he was removed after technical inspection. So that promoted Caleb Tartar into the fourth spot and Nicholas Bezo into the fifth position.
Nice. Colton Schniegenberg was the hard charger, up 19 spots, 29th to 10th overall. And there you have it, folks, your wrap-up of all the race reports for the categories of this past weekend's USPKS event at Road America. One final break in the action. When we get back, we'll wrap things up. We'll have a look at the Constructors' Championship, and we'll have a quick peek at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar to let you know where we'll be for the next couple of months. Don't go anywhere.
Are you ready to go from karts to cars? Since 1975, the Skip Barber Racing School has taken great drivers and made them champions. Today, we're proud to welcome the next generation of winners. Make the transition from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Formula Race Series. You'll compete at the most iconic tracks in America. Race weekends include your very own equalized Formula 4 race car, a professional crew, expert instruction, video and data analysis, hospitality, and more. This is the place to fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. Sign up today by calling 866-932-1949 or visit us at skipbarber.com.
History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief. We'll wrap things up here for the race report of the USPKS event at the Badger State Grand Prix. We'll work our way now into the wrap-up, David, and Nate Dean, our new assistant editorial player here at EKN helping us out. It's the distance is of Road America, the big track, 4.048 miles. So you're indeed correct, but he added as well that it's 14,248 wheels of cheese long. So that's solid right there.
How define a wheel of cheese? That's something I'd like to know.
Do you really want to know?
I mean, is it like the actual wheel laid, kind of like how you measure around the world, like so many things around the world? Is it they lay a cheese wheel down and like use that measurement?
See, this is it, dude.
Or is it they roll it out? Like do they actually roll out the cheese of wheel or the wheel of cheese?
I think we've talked about this far too long already.
You don't like to have these interesting conversations, Rob.
Let's wrap things up, Dave. Give me the wrap up from trackside.
I know your time is limited. 2 red flags on the weekend. Overall, I think it was a pretty good weekend in terms of racing.
Good.
Just again, making sure the drivers were okay. I think that's the issue that the officials wanted to make sure drivers were okay. I think Sunday was a little bit more heated than Saturday, as we typically see when we have these, 2 final weekends that we have here in karting. Aside from that, I think it was overall pretty good. I know they did try to emphasize the starts. They did rule that they were not going to review any pushback or overturn any pushbacks that occur during pace lap or coming to the green flag. Okay. They were emphasizing more space between drivers at the start of the race. So I think that's going to go a long way if they continue to emphasize that. Some classes did well with it, some didn't, but we didn't see too many crazy, turn 1 incidents still.
And that's Dave, and that's a tough. That first corner combination is a tough one.
The 1-2 is certainly that. Yeah. They did put a wall there, so it eliminated the opportunity to just drive through the grass and go through. So I think that that, and then emphasizing that pace lap pushback bumpers are not going to be overturned, or even at the start, because again, if you're on the guy's bumper the entire time until you get to turn 1. And then it pushes in, they're not going to overturn it. So I think that's a good one. And the other thing they were kind of watching throughout the weekend was the defensive driving. They wanted to make sure that if you made that move, that you stayed there and there was no swaying back or swerving. I think that was, we saw that was called a couple times on the weekend. So again, trying to make sure that drivers stay their line, run a cleaner line and aren't overly aggressive throughout the weekend.
And indeed, David, this is it's all focused now forward, right? We're a couple months away, September 15th and the 18th, the finale for the USPKS series at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Championships up for grabs. And man, it's been a while since we talked about it because it was at the start of the show, but can Ryan Norberg go 8 for 8? Can he sweep the year, right?
Yeah, that's going to be, I talked to him about that in the post race interview on Sunday, and it's almost like, is there going to be a bounty out on Ryan Norberg?
All right. Hey, question for you. Has he locked the championship already? 6 wins?
Well, I haven't done my Excel calculations, but I can look at the points right now and kind of tell you what the advantage is going into the final 2 rounds. He has a 558 point lead. Wow. And the next closest competitor is Cameron Weinberg, who has 1 podium finish out of the 6 rounds. So I'm going to assume that it's locked in. Yeah. Based on what I'm looking at. Again, I can't do my quick math anymore because I don't use that anymore. I don't use that degree anymore. But I got to think, it's got to be pretty much locked up.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Constructors' Championship right now, David. 8 different brands scoring wins on the weekend. 14 wins in total. 8 different brands standing on top of the podium.
Yeah, RPG grabbing 6 with the Cosmic brand, 3 from Caleb Gaffera, 2 from Ryan Norberg, and 1 from Mario Barrios. Parolin picking up 2 victories thanks to Keelan Harvick in the Mini Swift categories, while we had Merlin, Race Factory, LN Racing Kart, Burrell Art, Nitro Kart, and Bennick all score one victory on the weekend.
Good stuff, folks. All right, let's have a look at the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar. We'll wrap this show up or where we're going to be over the next number of weeks. This edition of the calendar brought to you by Margay. Are you interested in renting a kart at one of the biggest karting events in 2022? Do you want to be part of the fastest growing series in the sport? Check out Margay Racing's Spec Ignite class and their Arrive and Drive packages. Nothing matches the affordability and competitive level of the Ignite program. It's just one set of tires, national level caliber drivers, where the best driver wins over the best equipment. Bring your safety gear and Margay will take care of the rest. This year's Ignite majors include the Quincy Grand Prix in June, the WK Manufacturers events across the season, the Rock Island Grand Prix on Labor Day weekend as well. And there are 5 Ignite Challenge series running around the country this season. For more information, please visit ignitekarting.com today. Get off the couch and into a race seat in 2022. All right, David, let's have a look at this. We've got a bit of a break, actually, to a certain extent, a couple of weeks off, and then we are back trackside to cap off the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour. They'll crown their champions at the Summer Nationals at Newcastle Motorsports Park.
We will be together once again.
Together again.
This time not crammed into an RV.
No, very, very true. Oh, my God.
Although that was fun. I will say it was great to be done with the race day and be able to walk over and be able to have a couple cold ones and not have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I'm excited. I'm excited to see the 13th season of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour wrap up for what I believe is like the 825th time that we've been to Newcastle.
Like I said, we should have bought a house. We should have bought a house there.
I'm telling. I want to buy the property at the corner and just build a hotel so we can make money and go there.
That's exactly that. So indeed, Summer Nationals capping things off July the 28th to the 31st. Then, and take a deep breath, we don't have anything in August at all for karting. It's wild that there's kind of a break. I feel like we're in Italy right now, not having any racing in August. But yeah, David, you're not back until September 3rd and 4th, Labor Day weekend. Back to the Extreme Rock Island Grand Prix once again, the Labor Day Classic. That'll be your first race after Summer Nationals.
Yes, we are kind of taking the lead of the karting manufacturers and almost taking August off. There's a lot of regional and club racing going on, other notable events, but for EKN trackside coverage, nothing going on in the month of August. Again, kids are going back to school, so I think that's kind of the emphasis for a lot of the promoters. It's to allow that to happen, and again, get recharged once they get situated back into the school way of life, because again, it's a life altering experience taking kids to school.
Well, yeah, Dave, listen, you think about September, October, November too. Let's give everybody kind of a chance to press the reset button, because you got Rock Island, you got the USPKS finale, as you said, Newcastle. Here's the 4 major events at Newcastle, right? We're going to the Summer Nats. Then you got USPKS middle of September. First week of October is the CKNA Grand Nationals at Newcastle. The week after that, the U.S. Rotax Trophy Finals at Newcastle. And then the week after that, the Miami Grand National Championship down at GoPro. So there's still a ton of racing to come, but a little breather. Maybe step off the throttle a little bit through August.
Yeah. And but next year with the 5 events for United States Pro Kart Series, I wonder what months they are going to kind of take off again, because being able to get it done, I would think September would be their last month that they're going to do it. So you essentially have 5 events in the span of 9 months if they're going to start in January. So it's going to be interesting to see how that schedule continues to kind of to pan out. I know it's going to frustrate Mr. Andy Saisman, as he had everything kind of coordinated and figured out based on, this past year, to where kind of, you take that paper and kind of throw it in the trash, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
Andy's talked about trying to see if, talking to all the organizations, say, if we could probably make this all work and not step on top of each other so that everybody gets a chance to go racing. I'd love to see that happen. And of course, this race in June, there's already 3 races in January, as we know. Right. And so we're looking at adding another one in there. It's we'll see. Hey, we'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, there's still a bit of a battle in terms of market share and you got to listen to your customers. Wherever they want to go is kind of what you want to do, right?
Yeah, that again, just I think working together again, because again, we're such a small community that working together takes us long term.
Yeah.
And I think there's too much short term oversight. So I don't know. Yeah, again, the next few weeks are going to be quite interesting in terms of setting up the 2023 season.
Yeah, and we're going to start seeing those schedules coming out here pretty soon, folks. Rolling into July. As we know, the SuperKarts USA Summer Super Nationals, the 25th edition of that event, opening up their registration this past weekend. That'll be the event that'll cap off the season in the end of November. So lots to come. Expect to see 2023 schedules start rolling in on the EKN. We'll let you know. Follow all our social media. I'm sure we'll have more talks about that. We got a couple more podcasts coming up here over the next couple of weeks, so look for more content coming out on the EKN Radio Network. But we do want to thank you for tuning into episode number 98 of the EKN Debrief, the show brought to you by OTK USA. David Cole giving us a full debrief on the third event of this year's United States Pro Kart Series Championship, the Badger State Grand Prix from the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. We do appreciate it. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.